990 WAKR. Well, I mentioned we had some visitors coming on into the studio, and it's Coventry's sixth graders from Coventry's middle school. And we're going to talk with Evan and Ethan in just a couple of moments, but teachers Jim Drogden and Chris Lawrence are both in our studio right now. Jim, talk about how this project on the environment got started.
Good morning. Well, Disney Planet Challenge is an environmental education project-based learning activity, and because we feel like that's a huge part of science, we decided to enter our class in the contest this fall.
And then Chris, take it from there and what the students did.
Well, the students in the very beginning, we got to we had them research and brainstorm different environmental issues around Ohio, and one of our kids zeroed in on what was happening in Lake Erie with blue-green algae.
Mm-hmm.
And they can actually talk to you about that, especially with a lot of the extensive research we've done, the trips that we've taken, water testing that we've done.
You went up around the Put-in Bay area, right?
Yes, up at Stone Lab.
Okay. Ethan, go ahead and talk about what you were able to come up with.
Well, we were able to come up with that the algae, it wasn't really bad at first, and then when it was doing it was dying, and it would float up to the top and it would block the sunlight from getting to the plants, and the plants couldn't feed the fish or make oxygen, and then all the fish would have to leave, and they call it the dead zone because nothing could live.
Evan, how about you? What did you? How about adding to that?
Well, when we went up to Lake Erie, we actually saw the algae up close, and it was nice to see that. Because instead of like just thinking about it and seeing pictures on the internet, you could actually see it and know what the problem is.
Ethan, get into the problem and what you found out in doing more investigation.
Well, we found out that the reason these were happening is because there's nutrient loading points all around, and it's from sewage and fertilizers and even dirt. It's going in the water and it's making phosphates, and the phosphates are feeding the algae, which is making it get bigger and more dead zones.
So, Evan, talk about what the action was then by the class. What'd you guys do?
Well, when we went up there, we studied about all the algae and some of the stuff that's in it. And what we're basically trying to do is raise awareness by doing a bunch of different projects around the community and just make people aware of just how big this problem is.
Jim, why don't you step in here for a second? Did it surprise you on how quick the kids grabbed a hold of this and really ran with it?
Yes, that's what project-based learning is all about, because they, when we had gone up to Stone Lab with Ohio State University, they really saw. It was unbelievable what the algal bloom was up there in October. And I mean, it was shocking. It was like pea soup. And the kids just jumped into it, just right out of the gate. They were really, really interested in, making sure that we don't lose Lake Erie, because we almost lost it one time, and we don't want that to happen again. So I think, if we get this to the forefront of media attention as a critical environmental issue, that we can definitely save this.
And Chris, talk about what they've done to raise awareness, which is just terrific on how the students have come together.
Sure. One of the recent projects, we are starting to paint storm drains, and we had we were featured in the Akron Beacon Journal last week.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of our community projects we're going to do is we're painting the storm drains just as like a community awareness. Don't dump anything down our storm drains. And one of the things that we learned, and the kids as well, that the water that goes down the storm drains is not treated. So, and it goes right to our waterways. So in conjunction with Earth Day coming up in April, we're going to continue on the project. We submit the project in February 15th, but we're going to keep working as the year goes through.
How many students involved in the research, planning, and the awareness?
26.
26 kids.
Yep.
Evan, talk a little bit about, Evan, talk a little bit about some of the biggest things you've learned through this whole process.
The biggest things I've learned are it's like 2011 was like one of the biggest algal blooms. It was the biggest algal bloom in Lake Erie in history. And I've learned just how the algal blooms are a problem, and dirt is actually the number one pollutant. It's not but other things contribute to it as well.
Ethan, how about you? What's the biggest thing you've learned in this process?
I've learned that the only way to keep making people aware about this is to keep working on it and keep having projects and telling people about it so that they can become aware, and finally at one point maybe Lake Erie will clear up a better.
There you go. We're going to come back and talk more with Ethan Sulik, Evan Lease, and teachers Chris Lawrence and Jim Trogdon. They're from the Coventry Middle School. It's only about what lies ahead and more that they found out in making some trips to Lake Erie. Super stuff as they're looking out for our environment and our future. 33 is our current temperature, 12 minutes in front of 7 o'clock, 1590 WAKR. Really appreciating the Coventry Middle School 6th grade science class coming on in to the studio this morning. We have Ethan Sulik, Evan Lease, and then teachers Chris Lawrence and Jim Trogdon in with us. Chris, how did this come to center stage with the kids? How was it introduced to them that we have some problems going on? You kind of pick what you want to do. How did they get a hold of it?
Well, I'm working with Jim because I'm our instructional technology teacher in the building, and my lab is next door. So, of course, when Jim asked for me to sign on for the project, I said absolutely. And so the kids would come over and doing research. The harmful algal bloom problem in Lake Erie kept popping up, and now you can see. I mean, when they started researching it, saw that there was this algae problem at Lake Erie.
Mm-hmm.
Then we started seeing headlines in newspapers and pictures from you can see actually the algae from satellite pictures. The blue-green algae in Lake Erie is just absolutely amazing actually to see from satellite. So through research, basically, and they can dig that. They were just digging, and now we have 26 scientists in class.
And that's one. Jim, did you get cooperation from officials and people that you called up to interview? Talk about that process.
Oh my goodness. I mean, people were so willing to help, and that's what the kids need to see, that, you know, people go on and they end up having careers in this type of field. And so Ohio State University at Stone Lab, huge help. The EPA has been an enormous help. The Division of Soil and Water Conservation really helped us out. We're just now in the process of partnering up with Earth Echo and Water Planet Challenge and Philippe Cousteau to get more of a global audience. So it's really, really snowballed here in the last few weeks.
Well, my wife was tickled to death when she's an environmental engineer, so she knows first thing about everything that the kids were working on. Ethan, now that you guys have tackled this project, what lies ahead now that you've been educated? Did you get your taste for this? Is there something more you want to do?
Yes, I'd like to get it out to more people so more people know about this problem and they can help, because it's not just us that's worried about it, it's a global thing, because other people depend on the fish and water we get from Lake Erie.
That's what I was going to say, Ethan. Explain, if we don't take care of the problem, what could happen? What's the big picture?
We could lose all the types of species of fish that are only in Lake Erie or are special in Lake Erie. And that would be bad for us, the world, because people get fish from there. And it's just a big local point for scientists because it's really shallow, and it's probably the only of the 5 lakes that has the most life in it.
Evan, if you had to talk to some students and parents out there on how they can pitch in and help out with this problem, what would you suggest?
I would suggest, well, first, not dumping your waste into the storm drains, and just be aware of fertilizing, and not fertilizing it the night before it rains, because if it rains, it just runs off right into the sewage, right into the storm drains, and then it gets into the water, which isn't treated, and then that causes the algal blooms.
Evan, in this whole process of interviewing and talking with officials and knowledge, talk about the process and the cooperation that you had.
Well, we've just done a lot of stuff with big people, like big companies, and it's
Now that you've got a taste of helping out the environment, is there something else that maybe you would like to do in this regards?
Yeah, I would like to help other people be aware, like more people around like everywhere, so then they know about this problem in Lake Erie, because everybody contributes. It's not just like one group of people, it's a ton of people, so I'd like to get the word out to like everybody.
Ethan, how about you? What's something else environmentally you'd like to do?
I would also like to put up signs on storm drains and by people's, I don't know, by local gardens or something, like where like a park has or something that says no dumping, it goes to river, like that. Stop using chemical fertilizer and use organic. It's healthier for the environment.
Chris, what else are the students doing? You mentioned, 27 of them?
Mm-hmm.
What else are the students doing in the days, weeks ahead to lend support to the project?
Well, we're actually working on claymation video. We're doing stop motion video, so they're doing kind of a demonstration on how the problem starts and how we could possibly solve it. So they've enjoyed that, I believe, and using a lot of different technology in my class. We're using iPads for research, and then using the notes, and then uploading and sharing those, creating video also.
Wow, that is terrific. Jim, the
word.
technology has probably lent some nice support to all this big project.
Oh my gosh, that just opened so many doors for us. It's unbelievable. I wish I would have had this in my 6th grade class instead of an Etch-a-Sketch.
Yeah, just like I wish I would have had something advanced over an abacus when I was doing that.
Exactly.
Well, Jim and Chris, thanks for coming on in this morning.
Thank you.
Ethan
Thank you
and
so
Evan,
much.
great job getting up with us morning. You guys were top notch on the interview side, and more importantly, thanks for helping out the environment along with your classmates, okay? Thanks for coming in. 33 degrees our current temperature, 1590 WAKR.